Hello, welcome to a reading quiz. You're going to do just fine. I want to see how well you can read. So here's the thing. I'm going to read these two articles to you. One of them is going to look very familiar to you, and the other one is going to be something new. And you're going to have to tell me the author's point of view on that. Is it supposed to be educational? Is it somebody's opinion? Is it a compare and contrast, that sort of thing? Things like that. So let's get to it. First off, happy Friday. I'm just killing time while I switch the screen over. So yeah, happy Friday. I'm glad you're here. Before we get reading, I want to remind you of a few things. One, make sure that you have turned in your current event, have what's that thing we did? Oh, that 2-question quiz. Yeah, have that done. And if you've got both of those things done, you should be good to go. I'm going to move myself over. Perfect. Okay, this is the one that should look awfully familiar to you. The roles of state and federal governments. The United States has a constitution-based federal system. Federalism is a form of government in which power is divided between a national, federal government and local state governments. The Constitution's Supremacy Clause states that federal laws are the supreme law of the land, after only the Constitution itself. However, it is clear that the Constitution limits the federal government's powers. Those powers the federal government does have are listed or enumerated by the Constitution. Every law made by Congress must be based on one or more of these enumerated powers. The federal government maintains the military. The federal government's enumerated powers are listed in Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution. Among other things, they include the power to levy taxes, regulate commerce, create federal courts underneath the Supreme Court, set up and maintain a military, and declare war. In addition, the Constitution's necessary and proper clause lays out certain implied powers. These are needed to carry out the enumerated powers. As Supreme Court Justice John Marshall noted in 1819, a government entrusted with great powers must also be entrusted with the power to execute them or actually enforce them. What the states decide. The Constitution thus grants broad powers to the federal government. However, these powers are limited by the 10th Amendment. That amendment declares that those powers not specifically reserved for the federal government are given to the states. As founding father James Madison explained, the powers given to each state concern the lives, liberties, and properties of the people. They serve to advance and protect the internal order, improvement, and prosperity of the state. State powers are those required for public safety, health, and welfare. They are generally called police powers. State laws must give way to federal laws. Finally, certain powers are called concurrent powers. These are powers that states and the federal government both may exercise concurrently or at the same time. They include the power to set up courts, to levy taxes, and to spend and borrow money. In certain areas of life, it can be difficult to determine whether the federal government or a state government has the power to make laws. This can lead to two conflicting sets of laws. The problem of conflicting state and federal laws has given rise to what is called the doctrine of preemption. Under this doctrine, if a state or local law conflicts with a federal law, the state or local law must give way. The Constitution denies the states the power to block, delay, or alter federal laws enacted by Congress. An exception is an unconstitutional law. There are a variety of situations in which federal law preempts or overrides state law. Preemption occurs when there is an explicit or clear and obvious conflict between federal and state laws. It also occurs when it would be possible or impossible for someone to follow both state and federal laws. Finally, it occurs when the state law would prevent the realization of the purposes and objectives of the federal law. The only exception to the doctrine of preemption is when a federal law is itself unconstitutional. In other words, a federal law is invalid if it exceeds the power of the federal government. So, as you can see below, this is a Newsela quiz. Maybe you did the Newsela quiz, maybe you didn't, but you're doing it now on Canvas. So again, here is another article I'm going to read to you. It's called Opinion, the Public's Preference for Renewed Federalism. It's by a couple of people, and it'll read a little bit something different. And the questions that follow this one are going to be similar, maybe different. Either way, Opinion, the Public's Preference for Renewed Federalism by John Samples and Emily Ekins, the Cato Institute. We have an editor's note there. Very good. I'm going to zoom in just a smidge. There we go. Opinion, the Public's Preference for Renewed Federalism. For much of its history, the United States had a notably decentralized government structure. Since the 1930s, the national government has taken new efforts to regulate the economy and society and to redistribute resources. Those new efforts have implied a greater centralization of authority in Washington. In the past, the public often supported such centralization. Public opinion about federalism has changed. Voters are more supportive of decentralized policymaking on many issues where they previously supported a stronger national role. This shift in the public mood is consistent with other polling data that indicates profound distrust in the capacity of the federal government to act on behalf of the public good. On some issues, like national defense, much of the public continues to support national primacy. Such issues are often assigned to Washington by the Constitution. In contrast, much polling finds that many citizens believe state and local governments are likely to perform better than Washington. Americans support a more decentralized federalism than in the past, both on particular issues and as a general matter of institutional confidence. I think the biggest question there is this opinion in favor of what we're doing now, or do we want more state control? Simple there. But again, I could continue to scroll down. And you do have access to the scrolling down part. Hooray, hooray. You can use those images to help you answer the questions. But for now, do the best that you can to answer those questions. When you are done, my expectation is that you find something to read. And oh, I forgot, you have a homework assignment this weekend. And I'm going to show you, and I've already talked to a couple of classes about this. So if you already know, cool. This weekend, Chelsea Football Club, that big flag over there, starts their season. And every year that I do this project, I do a project with you. And this project is going to ask that you find something, anything that you are interested in, so you can learn more about it and do a little project for me where I get to know who you are, what you like to learn about, and you're going to write a paper about it. You're going to answer specific questions. It's not just entirely about your topic. There's certain things I want from the paper. You will read that paper out loud in class. So yes, it is a speech, but you get to read it. And then after you are done reading your paper, speech, whatever you want to call it, you will answer verbal questions about that particular topic. I will give you those questions during the research for this project. But your most important thing that I want you to do this weekend, besides sleep, is to find one thing and be able to prove it on Sunday or on Monday in class. So I will give you an example of one. So I'm going to have a picture of myself on Monday watching Chelsea. Like I'll just be in my apartment. It'll be a selfie like because I'm like genuinely interested in Chelsea Football Club. And that's the big takeaway from Thursday is like, hey, if federalism is going to work, we need to create citizens that are engaged. And how are they engaged? They have certain interests, but the one thing they have in common is that they all chip in to help make our government better. That's been the big takeaway from this week for me. Like, other than, hey, this is how class is going to go. This is who I am. This is what I want from a current event. This is how you do a Canvas quiz. And you got another one of those. So that's pretty much it. If you have any questions about this homework assignment, I'm sure I'm sitting back there somewhere. You can find me. Seriously. I just need proof and not just words of what you're going to study. Like it can be an article, it can be a picture, it can be like an actual artifact, like this one. I mean, this technically counts because it's in my hands, and I'd be able to turn it in on Monday. But it's a very open-ended project where I give you time and space to research whatever you want to research, because for the rest of the year, you're learning about what I want to teach. So, yeah. Alrighty, that does it for me. Good luck in this. This is one of those quizzes where I'm like, I'll let you redo it, but if you just speed through it now, the next time you do it, it'll be an average score. Oopsies. So, yeah. Good luck and yeah. Happy hunting for your new topic. See ya.